Now I got it.
All right, we're all good?
We're good.
All right, great. Where are you guys located, Gary?
I'm in Philadelphia myself. The company's pretty virtual. We have data facilities around the country: Hagerstown, Maryland, Longmont, Colorado, Phoenix, and we have offices in California, Thousand Oaks.
Okay, great. So you guys are you're in Philadelphia. All right, just to know about your background, what exactly you do for the company to frame our offer, to frame my pitch accordingly. Are you on the technical end, or are you more on the purely business, or kind of, given what your company does, I'm sure you have your hand in both in some regard?
I do. I'm the VP of Sales and Marketing. So I'm certainly not a technical guy that runs the platform for our clients, but I'm fairly well versed in what they do and how they work.
Great, great. On a side note, how familiar are you with web analytics as a whole? Analytics are Google Analytics, Omniture. I don't know if you guys use a couple technologies that you're familiar with.
We have an SEO company. We use Google Analytics extensively. We also use
If that's yeah, it's not. I just want to know the real job. Do you know? Do you outsource your analytics in that case to a SEO company where they kind of take care of it as a whole, or do you have your hands in that world as well?
we have our hands in that.
Okay, great. Okay, so on that note, just to let you know our overview, it's usually it's about 15 minutes showing you our key differentiators, capabilities. Pretty straightforward. From there, interrupt me at any time if you have any questions. And at the end, we spend 5 to 10 minutes talking about applicability based on what you saw to your business. And if we think if things want to move forward from there, we would schedule a more focused follow-up with who needs to be on the call, if that's more than just you. That's our usual process, just to give you an idea before I dive in. So
Okay, it's fine.
great. Okay, Gary, so Oopgo, we are a digital marketing intelligence company. We're fairly new. We've been around for approximately a year, but our main asset that we're introducing you today is we invented the first technology that captures the entire online user experience. What that means, if you can see the screen here, is what we're doing is we're capturing all of your website traffic on your website. You're adding a lightweight analytics script similar to a Google, any other product. The difference is you can see the entire session. You can watch everything your customers are doing. And in addition to the being able to watch what they're doing, whether it's from a mobile phone, whether it's from a computer, all of the devices are worked in, we're also creating a visual data record of every action you see on the screen. What that means, real common sense, practicality-wise, is if we were just recording videos of everything your customers did, you would have to have someone manually go through and edit all of them to actually see what's going on. It would be used more for dispute resolution, for looking at things on a micro-level basis. In our case, in this Bob Kahn example, you would be able to do a search for, let me know everyone on my site who entered the word Bob within my name field directly. We have it with a macro system, so you can do searches and direct result search on everything that happens on your site to a much deeper level than any other product out there, because we're capturing all of the keystrokes. We're capturing everything that happens, everything you see on the screen, essentially, as opposed to capturing kind of what happens on a page-by-page basis, which is kind of what's out there right now.
Okay.
Is that pretty you get the gist of that? Pretty straightforward what I'm showing you, Gary?
I do, and I cannot think of what are the other companies out there that do it now.
You're talking about the do what we do as a whole?
Yeah.
Well, there's two Tea Leaf. There's a company called Tea Leaf that's, it's kind of the pioneer in the basis of the recording technology. I don't know if you're familiar.
No.
Yeah, there's really, yeah, I guess there's one significant company in the U.S. and there's one located offshore. But the long story short of it is, they're used for enterprise level businesses. They don't do what we do. They're not creating the visual data record, and they're doing this to a much more preliminary level where you can kind of see things on an individual basis, but you can't see the big piece of the pie in one. If that makes sense.
How would you? Hootsuite was the company I was trying to think of.
Hootsuite. Hootsuite as far as I know. Let me tell you, Gary, to be really, unless you want to address it right now, I think it'd be best if I show you. I'm going to show you a few different views of the screen before we kind of wrap up, and I'm more than welcome to go into our differentiators after that. If that works for you.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. Okay. So this is an example to introduce the core technology of recording everything that happens. So once again, real top level. What I'm showing you here on this screen is this is an example of an actual recording that's what we create for every single visitor on your site in a way that we're creating one record to give you their entire customer experience from one screen. Are you familiar with the term session? Just Gary, general?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to ask, make sure. So what this is here is just an example of the individual session here. This is the page, the first page they visited in the session. Underneath here is all of the other pages within their session. So I'm just highlighting from a usability standpoint, I guess, the ease of use that we put into to make sure you can see the whole experience in one view and not have to dig around.
Okay.
When I click this button here, it says zoom in. In reality, what this does is if someone was visiting from a mobile screen, I click this button, it's going to change the resolution to the mobile screen itself, so you see exactly how it was viewed. In this case, it was viewed from a larger screen than my monitor, so it just maxes out the screen. So just little loops and holes. We went out of our way to kind of say we have the first product that kind of shows the whole experience in these regards. That's usability-wise. The important part here is on top. We have here 84 past customer sessions. What this is all of their past sessions aligned in the same view. So if you want to go back to the same, whether or not, if you had the information on this customer, you would have their name. You would integrate your data to have, all the information you currently have stored. In this case, it's an anonymous session to try to close pre-transactional business. But the important part of here is, in your guys' case, I don't know that much about your business model, but if you had someone coming on your site, and let's say they came to your site 10 times and almost purchased a high-value product, you saw that they filled out a product, they almost said yes to it, but they kept leaving, who knows why, maybe their computer went down, maybe they had another appointment, but the 11th time they came on the screen, if you guys were either actively monitoring them through your analytics or if you set up a trigger to say, I want to know when this high-value customer visits again, you would be able to know what he's done in the past in a very, very simplistic way. So that's the main asset display. The other asset is on the customer servicing end. That's going to be in the next view I show you. But letting you know for customer servicing, if you guys are dealing with a past client, a lot of companies go through different tiers of going back and forth to different departments. The IT and marketing is separated to know what people did in the past. If someone says, I went to your site last week and, a monster came out, something blew up, you would be able to practically understand their pain points and go back and forth. So that's the long story short of it.
Okay.
Important aspect underneath here, this is in this, so this view once again is created for each customer. Is I mentioned we have the visual kind of the more the visual usability on the same screen. On the bottom, we supplement this with actual data based off the information we store. We have it on the session basis. This is customizable for companies based on what your KPIs are. We have it for the entire customer history as well. And we integrated, are you familiar with tagging systems just on the basic, Gary? I don't know if you guys use one or tagging system for your traffic?
I'm not, I don't think we do.
Good, okay. The familiarity of a tagging system is if you guys said for your specific site you had a big red button on the top and you wanted to say, I want to know when someone moves on this button for 5 seconds for whatever reason. We would be able to, you'd be able to create that tag and then you would be able to use that as a search criteria, basically, when you're looking through traffic or looking through any results. How many people who made sales moved on this? You know, it's another filter to use. Is that pretty straightforward?
Yep.
Okay, great. So the other point, yeah, we have a tag. I don't get into the super taggy stuff, but we have a tagging system in place for every action in our site. Once again, we're storing 1,000 times as much as Google, 1,000 times as much as the Norman Analytics, because we have every hesitation. You know, you can go through, see your typing speed, depending on how long your forms actually are, but the important part is that we can dig deeper, but you're only going to want about 4 or 5 of them for most companies for practical KPIs, defining those, and being able to get complete insight on what's happening. So, this next view here is an example of a view we have of, this would be potentially the live traffic on your site. The last view I showed was the individual customer, the depth you can have for that individual visit. This, from a macro basis, if you guys had 5 people actively on your site, this would be the live traffic view of their actual actions. You would see what they're doing. You would, you know, integrate the, hey, I only want to see the top 10% of my traffic. Only show me my customers who I am going to label as a big baller. Let's label them gray. I'm going to have an active monitor and filter to understand their experience, either for servicing or just understanding how to close them better.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, and this, once again, we have multiple patents pending on this technology. We are the first company to recreate this without needing a download on a screen. This is, you add something on your site, I go on your site tomorrow, and I'm able to actively monitor and engage directly. So
you're taking our information and displaying it on a portal of yours?
Well, no, it can be installed on your end locally, but yeah, on the website end, correct.
Okay.
Okay. And obviously, you'd have to give us, you know, you'd have to add the information on your end for us to have that access, just to be really clear. So.
Yep.
Okay. So what I've showed you here is kind of the big differentiators, what we've done that no other company has done. But now what I'm just going to run you through is a few minutes of the practical use cases and, you know, the starting point. I'm actually going to log out of here. You're familiar with these technologies, just to make sure there's to understand that this is a web-based portal. By default, we have this, you know, you log in the same way you would for a Google Analytics type.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to... And I didn't know if you guys are an agency. That last view there, we have this customized for people who have multiple clients they want to manage as a service offering, or if it's only for your site, it would by default only show your site statistics. That's an FYI, just depending on how you guys do things. So,
okay.
So the main difference here is a normal analytics. You know, you receive the information of what people are doing. Our big difference with us is a starting view here. If we wanted to dig deeper into the traffic from Google, here we have it split up into a session-by-session view from that starting point, which is kind of a summary of each different visitor, you know, where they came from, what they've done, all of the general demographics for analytics you're looking for. These are also customizable depending on KPIs. With a company, we usually have them defined 5 by default, and we tag them in advance appropriately, and then kind of give you guys the keys to be able to change that around in the future. So from here to connect the dots of the other views I showed you, we started at the analytics view. Now I dug into the individual view on a specific segment. I click View Details from here, and that gets me into that detailed customer view that we displayed before.
Okay.
Other detail outside from here is I gave you the session view example, which is usually the norm for companies, the way they do analysis on a session-by-session basis. We've also integrated it to go directly into a page-by-page view. Please stop me if anything's unclear with you based on that. You understand page and session?
Yep.
Okay, just making sure. So you could break this down, you know, if you want to say, all right, I see session-by-session view. I think that I'm missing that sticky point people are looking at on a page. Let's break it down page by page, select the page, you know. Also can do this by customer view. custom review means can be defined by IP address or cookie. It can be basically defined on anything you're storing. Any way it's possible to define a customer. The default for us is by IP address. You know, so you can say, okay, now I can see this on a customer life basis. So even don't know how many different people came on there. So on the live view I showed earlier is directly from this same view as well. I'm just going to show you one more example here as opposed to, I mean, these kind of products, we could spend 5 hours if you wanted to dig into all the bells and whistles. But do you guys use conversion? Are you familiar with the terminology conversion funnels, Gary?
Not so much on this. I mean, we use it for our CRM dynamics.
You do? Okay.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, and on the CRM note, too, from the things I had showed you, we have been, our intent in a lot of cases, a lot of people will ask for integration, but a couple companies have replaced the on the CRM basis, depending on how they set it up, by being able to service their customers with actually being able to view and aren't looking at this as much on an analytics basis as an active engagement. So, what I'm showing you in this screen, the long story short of it is, yeah, on the conversion cycles here, if you have a company and you say, I have a home page, I have the second page would be a sales page, and let's say the third page would be a contact page. You would define a cycle to see how many people are going through this process at 1%, what's our conversion rate, and the normal use case of this, I mean, Google does have this, you know, base offering of conversion funnels is normal. The thing is, you want to see how many people dropped out at each step to know where you want to fix your site with your high-value processes. So the big difference here for value is usually, you know, they'll let you know this many people dropped out from this 10 different people who went from the home page to the sales page. 50% of them have left. Great. We know they left. Now we have to fix the problem. The big differentiator with us is you can go to the actual pages that they went to and dig through and say, why did those 5 people that I'm trying to fix leave? From there, you can break it down to an individual basis, and you can look at each particular customer. And this case right here, this was our error analysis, us seeing how many people had left based on an error. So we dig here, and obviously we had an error on a website to see what caused someone to leave, as opposed to sitting there and scrambling and saying we need to change our sales process. So. So I'm going to cut it off just about here. So the main example here is there's a lot of tools, even another company I'd mentioned who pioneered here, who all they really do is the base recording is the expectation with a tool like this is because you go so deep into a session, you can't do anything on the macro level. You can't do the base analysis that people are looking for, you know. So I just show one core example to make it clear that we have these other tools integrated, and from there, you know, if someone has other questions about what else, we get deeper later on. So, okay. Let me know do you have any general questions and comments, Gary, of you know, not applicable to you guys? You guys are currently doing this, or?
No, we're putting a lot of time and effort into this, and you know, we've significantly increased the traffic to our website. We've increased a lot of the keywords, so we've started a very significant blog on our website too. It's also drawing a lot of users, and so, you know, if we can see what they're doing and track that better, great.
Okay. All right, so yeah, you guys are very conversions are obviously high on your guys' list of priorities in that regard.
Yeah.
Okay, that's all I wanted to. What about your role? You said you're a VP of Sales and Marketing. How does your organization work as a whole when it comes down to? I don't know if you know. A lot of companies these days. It's more marketing focused or it's more tech focused. A lot of them are shifting towards marketing. How do you guys deal with that?
We're very much shifted to marketing. That we want to put a lot of information out there, and it's not really technical stuff. We've got a lot of action on the blogs, but it might be something like what involvement is my IT department going to have if we decide to go with virtual desktop or virtual exchange sort of thing? And we write out the answers there. So I think we have probably 80 blogs on there. We're in meetings this week. I think we wrote about another 150 that we're going to be putting out there. So we're trying to share more information so that clients, potential clients, come in better informed.
Okay, great. Yeah, it sounds like, yeah, to be blunt about it too, I mean, that's the shift. The shift needs to be a lot more business-wise, like you guys are doing exactly. A lot of companies miss that gap of thinking they're IT guys who don't, to be blunt, in most cases don't have a lot of common sense and applicability or running these departments. You guys are, yeah, and you guys have a pretty good, very nice looking site in these regards. I always look through this beforehand to know if we're, going to be at 101 level or looking at deep differences levels. So.
Okay.
How big, how many clients what's your ideal client? What are your guys, what do you usually do for them? I see you offer a lot of services. I wasn't sure if it's more of an all-in-one or focus on one specific aspect.
There's three different things going on right now.
Okay.
Our traditional disaster recovery business, we're much larger clients that would spend anywhere from $10,000 to $25,000 a month with us. And the traditional DR business was they workspace, rack space, and connectivity, and a number of our products, whether it be server backup, or use us in some other capacity similar to that. Where we're moving towards, and the client is a smaller client, but because of the services, we're moving away from the DR more onto a hosted platform. So we're providing virtual desktop, Exchange, Link, VoIP to clients. So where if it was a DR, it might be a $5,000 client. We're taking that $5,000 client, maybe moving them up anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 with the desktop, the Exchange, the Link, the VoIP, and the connectivity.
Great. So are you guys a lot more focused on upselling right now as opposed to new business? Is that a particular focus, or you're just doing that anyway and still going after new clients?
Well, we have a tremendous amount of opportunity with existing clients to sell those products to. But like I said, the larger clients are going to be less likely to move those outside their own infrastructure quickly or early. The smaller client, without a significant IT staff, we could almost completely replace their IT staff. We have clients where they don't want to have servers anymore. We provide their servers, their desktop, their Exchange, their VoIP, and connection to their third-party providers. A large percentage of our clients are financial institutions.
Okay. All right, great. Yeah, the biggest confirmation there when it comes down to the practical use and value for any, high-level analysis insight product is that there's high-level clients, and it's not, a social media, a free offering site where your clients are averaging 5 seconds on the site. You guys obviously have a lot invested in every visit on your site based on who your target market is, and really based on offering so much on that end. That's all I was really. I just make these for personal notes to make sure our offering is makes sense in a follow-up perspective. So on that note, Gary, I'm going to make on a side note. I'm the CEO, by the way. I take about 1 out of every few calls if I want to learn a bit more about an industry such as yours. Financial, I know, is a very very protective industry. I saw you guys were credit unions beforehand. It's not something people want to jump into. So I just kind of like to do my own personal R&D to understand all of the things you mentioned, which sounds like you know very well. So on that note, go ahead, Barry.
that's a key part of our business is where their data is being stored and the security of that data, and also that we help them be compliant with the different regulatory agencies that they have to deal with.
Yeah, absolutely. On our end too, of course. Anything on the data end, when I had mentioned that everything is combined into one specific data set, that basically implied that your entire customer history is in one record. So if for companies that want to host it themselves, or for companies that want to integrate it into what they're doing, it's not 50 different data sets, one for conversion funnels, one for different, different tools that are being displayed, which is right now in the industry, our main competitors more than Google is IBM and Adobe have a couple tools there where they don't have our capabilities, but they have obviously the brand name recognition more, but their lack of agility, not being companies of their size, they usually have to add on. When they add on something, they can't integrate it as directly. They keep adding on and acquiring companies. So I brought up our bigger asset to any organization is really the fact that we are still a smaller team, so we're able to integrate everything directly into one source, so based on the pain points. So I'm just going to mention, this is something I do just to make real clear. Requesting a demo on here, I would assume that's a pretty high value portion of your site, if you want to point out a different link from.
I'm sorry, say again?
I was asking the request a demo. What I try to do is find one high-value segment of your site and give an example to make sure we're clear. Is requesting a demo, I would assume, is a pretty high-value portion of your site? You guys would want to take a close look at? Okay. In this case, I'm going to give a real clear example just to make sure this extra data points was...
Let me ask you something, Patrick.
Go ahead.
Does your existing client base, are they more oriented towards selling products, or are they more oriented towards, like ours, that we're not going to sell anybody anything on our website? The best we're going to do is get a request a demo.
Definitely yours. Experience as a whole, if I were to give one word, understanding the experience is usually what the priority is, more than trying to directly sell on the site.
Okay.
So I'll keep this real short. I think you get this pretty clearly. The only point being here is if someone said, let's keep it, I can't think of a wittier... The long story short there was, on these individual forms, aside from being able to watch them on an individual basis, you would be able to tag and know that that client said, if it's an existing client new, made any comment that wasn't entered beforehand. You would, when I talk about how we store 1,000 times the points, you would be able to go to that depth and level on a macro basis. And in our case, I'll tell you, I think it's similar to yours. If you're going after a lot of big fish too, and you watch these individually when people are typing to you, we've had a lot of times with enterprise level companies, if they contact me, I want to know whether or not it was a copy-paste type deal where they're trying to upsell me something, or whether they did it individually. What we're able to note a lot is the psychology behind if someone's spending 5 minutes contacting you, usually means it's a lot higher value client consideration wise, versus if someone is writing a message in 4 seconds where they're planting seeds to look at 50 different vendors. So that was just a little example just to make sure that was clearly differentiated. When we talk about storing more data points, the form entry is usually where that comes to the highest value on your end. So at this point, Gary, the first question I have, of course, is are you interested in a more focused follow-up if we had in the near future?
Yeah, I'd like to continue the discussion.
You'd like to continue the discussion. Can you frame what that discussion in your mind would look like, who it would have, and what your potential pain points would be? Or is that going to take some more, give you some time on that?
Well, no, it's just I'm going to review it with 2 people in the company, someone else who's involved in marketing, talk to the CEO about it because he's heavily involved with moving this process forward for us. And there's a couple other things that we're doing now that I want to find out some more about because I know they're similar, and I want to learn a little bit more about what the differences might be. But it appears that one of the biggest differences is that you're able to get a lot more detailed, granular information.
Great. Yeah, that's so in that case, it sounds like to me on our end, is sending you a recording of our current conversation going to be relevant to you if you're going to run it through other people so they can see the examples? Would that be the best way to move forward on our end?
Yeah, that'd be fine.
Great. And I don't know if you're in control of your calendar. Is there a time date we could set up now in the next couple weeks, or would you prefer to get back to me?
I'd like to get back to you.
Okay. All right. I had a great conversation with you, Gary. I wanted to let you know, so I'm going to send you the conversation we had. It is going to be a secured, we don't have that public, of course. It's going to be secured on a Vimeo account where you need a password. And from there, on our follow-up discussion, based on what you guys do, I'm going to have a couple of data experts on the line as well, a couple of integration guys, because I feel like that's going to be our next potential discussion, if there's interest, is talking about you guys are doing a lot with data already, and the security element, the integrating, making sure we're compliant, that kind of, that's my thought at least, unless you had any other additional comments for that.
No, that's fine. Patrick, could you tell me a little bit more about your existing clients now, who they are, not who they are, but, you know, what, if there's any particular industries or who they are, how many you have. You said you've only been up for a year.
Yeah,
and I'd like to get a general idea of what the costs are involved.
Absolutely. Would I be able to, I'm actually going to have my VP of Sales and Marketing would be able to summarize that for you in a document, attach that, and the same as the actual video recording we had. Would that work for you?
That's fine.
Great. Anything else on your end, Gary?
No, we're good.
All right. Once again, very a good conversation. Hopefully we'll be in touch in the near future. If you guys have any questions about how we compare to a current offering, any differentiation, please don't hesitate to ask us, because these data products, a lot of times, a lot of them blur together. So,
yeah, one of the things I'm going to do, Patrick, is I'm going to my research, which the names are not coming to me right at the moment. It's been a long week, but right. I'm gonna send an email to you saying that these are things we use now, these are the things that we look at, these are the detail we get, and if there's a quick response, I think the response is basically going to be that you provide more detail, but if you want to take a look at that and respond to that, that might be helpful too.
Yeah, don't hesitate if there's something we don't. I am very familiar with these industries and markets. I mean, there's definitely yeah, you don't want more detail if it's not usable, so it's always important to know what details you're looking at, to know how we could add value more than how we could plug up your dashboard with more information, you know, little tinkers or changes. So,
yeah. Okay.
All right. Sounds like we're good. Nice talking to you again, and hopefully we'll talk soon.
Okay. Take care.
Bye.